Real estate is a team sport. That's a common go-to phrase for me. Today, I get the opportunity, I get the privilege to speak with somebody who I met on a platform, a networking platform. Many of you may be on it. You've probably heard it before. I think it was Bigger Pockets, actually. I think it was. Ladies and gentlemen, introduce Luka Milicevic. There we go. How's it going, man? How you feel?
Feeling great. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Doing well. Thanks for asking. Again, I want to thank you for joining me today on Refi, the journey of a destination. Everybody on this show shares at least one common thread, and that common thread is we're all on the journey of a destination, and that destination being financial freedom, financial independence.
Yeah, so I'm in the Nashville, Tennessee area, which a lot of you will probably be familiar right now. One of the hottest markets in the whole country, at least top five consistently. And what I do here, so a little bit of everything. I do some buy and hold rentals, long-term rentals, short-term rentals as well. I do renovations, not that many renovations, but every now and then. And then I do a bunch of new construction as well. So I'll do just vacant land, new builds, and I'll take old houses, tear them down, build new houses on the lots. And then also I do a lot of agent work for out-of-state investors. Since I'm an investor myself, I have a real estate license, and I will represent out-of-state investors who are looking for deals here in Nashville.
Man, you sound like you stay busy. That's a good thing, though, right?
Well, yes, I used to stay very busy, but now I've figured out how to not work as much and get more done. Let me put it that way. So
Sure.
I've improved my delegating over the last couple of years, especially systems, that sort of thing. So it might sound like a lot, but honestly, once you get that part down where you've got the right team, you can delegate the things that you're not good at. It's actually not as much as you might think.
Luka, how did you get started in real estate?
Yeah, so growing up, my neighbor actually that lived next to me, he was an older gentleman and retired, and he was very into just investing, financial freedom, that sort of thing, and kind of got started on stocks actually. And when I was in college, I was day trading like any young person these days was doing,
Sure.
and very very inconsistent. So I would make a bunch of money one day, I'd lose it all the next day. It was basically a casino, is what it was for me.
I like that.
Just very very inconsistent is what it was.
Okay.
And so when I graduated college, I actually try to do that. I try to be a professional day trader, but again, there was no consistency. I never knew what my day was going to look like. So, kind of wanted to, do a serious investment, which real estate was, I guess, the way to go. I thought, just consistent monthly income. And so I bought my first property in 2014, and it was a primary residence. And then the very next year, 2015, I bought my first rental. And then 2016, I built my first two homes at the time. And that's kind of when I started, was 2015, and I've been doing it ever since.
Now, you say you bought your primary residence was your first purchase?
Yes.
Single family?
It was a single family home. It was straight off the MLS.
Yeah. Okay. So I was going to ask you, did you do the house hack? That's a common strategy for entering the dynamic world of real estate.
Yeah. So it was more of a live-in flip, actually. At the time, it was just my wife and I. We didn't have any children at the time, and so we lived in kind of a construction zone for at least, I would say, about 2 to 3 months. Was the house was, I think the lady, she had 7 cats in there. And so they were just, it didn't smell great. So
Sure.
it's kind of why we got it a little bit cheap, and it didn't have any updates. It was built in '96, didn't have any updates. So we kind of just did all the work ourselves. I mean, 100% of it, and forced appreciation. And then later down the line, after that was all done, yeah, we went the house hack route. We had a bonus room upstairs and rented that out to, it was actually a friend of mine. He was working in Nashville and he lived in the upstairs bonus room for a while. And so that was kind of how we got our start. And I will say this, one of the easiest ways to get started in real estate is to go the route of either do a live-in flip or do a house hack. So if you're wanting to start in the flipping business and you're a little bit scared, you're not sure, just do a live-in flip, because worst case scenario, you have a house that you can now live in. Best case scenario, you sell it in whatever, a year, 2 years, and you go on to the next one, or maybe you just, start flipping from there. Same thing with if you're looking to get into long-term rentals, easiest way to do it is a house hack, no doubt about it. Especially if you're one of those folks, you're a little bit scared to get into the game. Again, worst case scenario, you have a house to live in.
So right. So there are a couple of terms that you use there that any of the novice in the audience may not necessarily, may not necessarily understand. House hacking is something we talk about all the time on this particular show. So in reference of house hack, I usually speak about it in the context of small multifamily, right? Duplexes, 4 families, right? You buy the whole building, you live in one of the units, you rent out the rest of the units. Did you guys house hack with a single family that had a bonus room, I heard you say?
Yes.
Talk about that a little bit. Trying to kind of give some insight on how that may differ from a small multifamily, a 2-family or a 4-family flat.
Okay, so I'm very familiar with house hacking. Even though I've only done it once, I have placed many, many buyers into house hacks here. So since I do work with almost exclusively investors, I mean, if they're looking for a primary residence, they're not buying a primary residence to live in. They're buying a primary residence as an investment, but they're going to live there. So what that means is they're all looking for house hacks. So they come in many shapes and sizes, and a lot of it is going to depend on your life circumstances. So single family homes, absolutely, you can house hack those. And what that will look like is you're going to live in one of the bedrooms and you're going to rent out the other bedrooms. Now you can do that. Again, I said life situation. So right now I'm married. I have 2 children and a dog. That doesn't work for me anymore. It just doesn't.
Difficult. Yeah. A little difficult.
My life situation does not allow that sort of house hack. So we did it, like I said, rented the upstairs bonus room when it was just my wife and I. It worked fine at the time. So, if you're a young professional, that might be the way to go. A couple of other ways to do it. Like you mentioned, multifamily, that works. You live in a duplex, triplex, quadplex, doesn't matter. You live in one of the units, rent the others. A couple of other ways to do it that's very popular here, specifically in Nashville. Mother-in-law suites. You live in the mother-in-law suite and you rent out the main house, or you rent the main house. You live in the main house, rent the mother-in-law suite, depending on what you want to do. Or there's a basement downstairs. You live in the basement, rent the main house, or other way around. That's another way to do it. Another thing that you can do here is what's called a dadu. So dadu is a detached accessory dwelling unit.
Yeah.
In Nashville, there's specific zoning codes where you're allowed to build that in your backyard, literally. So you can build one in your backyard, or it might already be there with the house. So you can house hack that way. There's so many ways to go about house hacking. It doesn't just have to be, a duplex or a single family home. So again, it comes down to what you want to do, kind of your life circumstances, where you're at, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I agree that it can be done. You just have to want to do it. Yeah, you just because
Hmm.
it will kind of inconvenience you, I think. And it certainly will be a something to get used to. But I think once you're a couple months in and you've got some cash flow, you'll start to adjust.
Definitely, yes.
Yeah, you'll start to
Once
adjust.
once you realize that someone else is paying your mortgage, it becomes easier.
Sure, sure. Another term you used in reference to the uh, primary residence, your first purchase, you use the term forced appreciation. Kind of explain that for the audience.
Yeah, so if you buy a house, typically that's not in the best shape, so needs some work, maybe some cosmetics, maybe a little bit more. You come in, whatever, paint the place, do the flooring, tear out the cabinets. Kind of depends on the situation. The house, hopefully, if you bought it right, is going to be worth more once all of that is done, in addition to how much money you've put into it. So, let's say you do $20,000 in renovations, you raise the value by $35,000.
Mhm.
You've forced the appreciation on the house by adding some value.
Sure. As a real estate agent, and so I'm a licensed real estate agent here in Georgia. Um, what particular rooms or what particular enhancements, improvements would you encourage people to focus on to start with?
Okay, so uh, well, it kind of depends. Let's just say it's a blank slate. The house just needs cosmetics. So apparently, the number one highest return on improvements in a house is actually the front door, is replacing the front door. I
Wow.
can't remember where I read that. Might have been like realtor.com or something, but that's supposedly the highest return on investment. I don't know if that's true. I read that somewhere, but
Okay.
for me, paint is going to be the easiest thing, uh, because paint makes a house just look completely different. I mean, it
Sure.
really does.
Sure.
And it's the easiest thing to do and the least expensive. Anyone can paint. I mean, get yourself a
Sure.
paint pressure roller. You can paint.
Sure.
The next thing, flooring. Flooring is not terribly difficult to do. It doesn't have to be that expensive, but that would be kind of the next thing. Those two things: you change the flooring, you change the paint, house looks completely different. In terms of rooms, the kitchen is the most important thing. I mean, kitchens sell homes.
Sure.
After kitchens, bathrooms.
Bathrooms. Yeah.
So it depends really how much money you want to spend. You can spend as much as you want, I mean, or as little as you want. But those are kind of the things, flooring, paint, and then followed by a kitchen renovation.
Some new construction. You've bought some vacant land and uh, put a shovel in the ground a couple times.
Yes. So I build, I would say on average about two houses a year, two new houses a year.
Hmm.
And those will kind of vary. Most of them I sell. I have I have kept some as long-term rentals, build to rent, and then
Hmm.
I've also done build and then rent them as short-term rentals. So I've done that as well. But most of them I sell. Right now, kind of what I'm looking to do is to do a lot more build to rent in less expensive zip codes. So
Okay.
essentially as affordable housing as I can get it, which is extremely difficult in today's day, but just trying to do that.
Give me your brief on how that process works. You find the land, you purchase the land, then what?
Yeah, so exactly that. I mean, most of my deals when it comes to new construction is going to be coming from wholesalers, not really wholesalers, other investors that are selling it. So you purchase the land, you demo the house if there is one on there,
Hmm.
you get your permits done with the city, you get your plans done with the architect, you get a builder, and I mean, you get going. Really, a construction loan somewhere in there as well.
Hmm.
Uh, you know, banks will finance new construction, and really, some folks might hear building a house. It they might think, oh, I can't do that. There's a lot to it. It's actually really not that difficult. I think that building a home is easier than renovating a home. And it might sound, contradictory, but if you've done it, it's easier. You've got a builder that does, you get yourself a good builder, a professional builder, and very little headache, really.
So what role do you play in that? Are you the general contractor? You the landowner? Just what's your role in that?
Yeah, so really just the title would be developer is what it would
Hmm.
be. I'm not the general contractor. I don't do that. I have a builder who is the general contractor, and they will build a house from start to finish. I'll kind of just put the deal together, I'll go down to the city. I'll kind of verify, the eligibility of the lot, any stormwater issues, things like that, which the builder can also handle for you. But I like to hear it from them.
Hmm.
And then sometimes I might get involved in some material purchases, that sort of thing, just kind of depending on the deal, And then at the end, once it's all done, then I will act as the role of the agent who does the listing on the back end.
As you should. As you should.
Yep.
There's a construction loan in that process somewhere. What are some of the requirements to qualify for a construction loan?
It's much the same as a just any other loan, really. So it also depends what you're building. If you're building a primary residence, just like if you're buying a primary residence, you're going to get more favorable terms, lower interest rates, better loan to value, that sort of thing.
Sure.
If you're doing a speculative build, which is what I'm doing, obviously you need more money down. The bank's going to scrutinize you a little bit more, that sort of thing. But there's nothing to it. I mean, they're going to look at the same things as they would if you're buying any other house.
Define what you mean by speculative build.
Well, I'm speculating. I'm building in hopes that I'm going to sell it for more than it's going to cost me. So I'm looking to make a profit. That's really what it is.
Sure. And you're doing ranch style houses, 2 stories. What are you doing?
Typically 2-story homes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And you are renting to sell and renting to rent. I mean, building to rent.
Right. But both of them mostly built to sell, though. That's like, I would say 80% of what I do.
Cool. How many have you done so far?
I've averaged 2 a year for the last, I don't know, 5 years maybe. So probably just over 10 houses, maybe
Good. That's good stuff, man. Congratulations.
10, 12 houses.
And you, of course, were the agent on all of them, correct?
In the beginning, no. In the beginning, I was not, because I didn't have my real estate license at the time. So my
Okay.
first couple, I think I had an agent who was a partner on the deal as well. So they had their license. And so, it kind of came out to the same thing.
Very good. So what do you prefer? Do you prefer to build them brand new, or do you prefer to existing, to remodel and rehab?
I'd say, well, there's benefits to both. The
Sure.
the rehabs are nice because they're a quick turnaround time, start to finish 3 months. Building and selling a home can take up to 18 months. So the margins are higher on new construction, but the risk is also substantially higher. So it really just depends. I mean, the numbers just have to work for whatever you're targeting in terms of return on investment.
Sounds like you're staying very, very, very busy, even in the as a developer, getting systems in place. Just starting the whole process, man. Congratulations on achieving that. Why real
Thank you.
estate? Why not be a pediatrician? Why not play the stock market? Why real estate?
Well, this is the only way you can truly, I guess, retire. Like you said, financial freedom. If I was any of those things, basically the day you stop working is the day you stop earning. So
Mm.
with all the things I mentioned, the active income, renovations, building homes, all of that at the end of the day is a job. So when I stop doing that, I'm going to stop making money, whereas rentals, I have a bunch of rentals that I've bought over the years.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm not working. Like I'm earning money, but I'm not actually working. So it's the passive income side. That's kind of the ultimate goal, is why I'm in real estate. It's just the passive income, which all those professions you mentioned, like a pediatrician, those are all of my investors. I mean, the folks that are buying rentals here are those professions, because they know the same thing. I mean, they know that once they stop working, that's when the money stops rolling in. So they're also looking for passive income opportunities.
Have you ever had to raise capital, or do you just kind of, or what's your process when it comes to that?
So depends on the deal. In the beginning of my career, my first rental was just I saved up, I saved up the down payment and put that down.
Hmm.
I had my best friend as well went in with me 50-50. He brought half the down payment, I brought the other. So that was my first deal. After that, I would get investor partners who would finance all or portion of the deal. That's kind of how I would get in. I've done hard money loans as well. Right now, as of today, I have lines of credit that I use, which I can just access like cash. And if I'm not using them, I'm not paying interest. So that's kind of the way I'm financing deals today.
Okay. Dave Ramsey or Robert Kiyosaki?
You can learn something from both of them.
Sure.
It, neither of them are right. Neither of them are wrong.
I like that.
It's a different school of thought. So Dave Ramsey is a very wealthy dude. Robert Kiyosaki is a very wealthy dude, and both of them have completely different outlooks.
Sure.
Which, uh, the Robert Kiyosaki fans are going to tell you Dave Ramsey's crazy. Dave Ramsey fans are going to tell you Robert Kiyosaki's crazy.
Sure.
Again, neither of them are right or wrong. You can do it both ways, and you can be successful both ways.
Assuming you read Rich Dad Poor Dad at some point in the past, was that the catalyst that kind of opened up your mind to real estate? Did it change your perspective?
It was actually Cash Flow Quadrant for me, which is the follow-up book to
Yeah.
Rich Dad Poor Dad. That was the first one I read. I think I was, I don't know, 15, 16 years old at the time.
Yes.
And yes, I had a wake-up moment where I was like, wait a minute, you don't have to work, and you can make money doing something other than working. I didn't know that existed at that age.
Sure.
So yeah, that opened my eyes to the possibilities.
Before we get out of here, before we wrap up, I'm sure you've got some social media stuff. How can people contact you, connect with you if they're looking to do some deals in Middle Tennessee?
Yeah, so obviously Bigger Pockets, if anyone's familiar with that, I'm on Bigger Pockets quite a bit. You can just search my name. Other than that, Instagram is probably the best way to get in touch with me. I've had a lot of people reach out on Instagram. My handle is Luka, Luka, gets real estate. So Luka gets real estate. That's my Instagram. Just look me up there and send me a message.
Sounds good, man. You do a referral fee if I send somebody your way?
I would be happy to.
No, it's all good. All good. I always like to end the show with what I call the final five. Basically, I'll just say 5 words or 5 phrases, and you respond as what it means to you or the first thing that comes to mind. Okay?
Okay. Yep.
First word, it's family.
Well, right now, that's the most important thing to me. Most important thing in the world.
Next word, entrepreneur.
Someone just willing to take a risk. Someone that's just doesn't want to, I guess, work their whole life and in a job they might not like.
Generational wealth.
Oh, I'm gonna be honest. I don't like that idea. I don't like that idea. I think that I I've told my parents, I was like, I don't want you to leave me anything. I really don't. I want to
Mm-hmm.
earn it myself. I would like to more so teach my children how to earn their own wealth versus me giving them anything. And there have been generational wealth curses on people. If you look at the story of the Vanderbilts, which I won't get into,
Sure.
but the Vanderbilts, read that story and see what that did to the children who didn't have to earn their way. So I'm not a big fan of that idea.
That's a very interesting perspective. That's actually the first time I've heard anybody take that perspective about it. Thank you for sharing that.
Yep.
Next word, sacrifice.
You got to do it. You got to do it if you, yeah, you got to do it if you want to get into real estate. I mean, you're going to have to sacrifice. You're going to have to sacrifice time. You're going to have to sacrifice some stress as well. I mean, it's not all butterflies and rainbows.
Last word for you, buddy, retirement.
Retirement for me, I don't ever want to retire. I'm going to be honest. I like doing this too much. I'm hoping to do deals till the day I die, honestly. You know, I enjoy this business, and obviously at some point, you know, I'll cut back and just do more what people call fun stuff, I guess. But really, for me, I would say more so just being able to do what I want when I want, which right now I can kind of sort of do that. But at some point, I'll definitely be able to just say, you know, I can leave whenever I want and do whatever I want.
Refi, the journey of a destination, man. I wish you all the best on your journey. I'll see you at the destination. And actually, the next time I take a road trip back to my my hometown, St. Louis, I think I may stop through Middle Tennessee and see if I can see if we can maybe go to a game or something. Or throw a couple back.
Sounds good to me. I'd love to have you up here.
Sounds good, man.